Namaskar, good morning. You are watching Rajya Sabha television. I'm Smriti Rastogi with Breakfast News. Let's begin the bulletin with the top headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi returns from a successful Saudi Arabia tour. Both nations sign over a dozen pacts, including one on setting up Strategic Partnership Council, rollout of RuPay card in the kingdom. India to invest $100 billion in oil and gas by 2024, says Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Riyadh, promises investors stable and transparent policy regime in India's endeavour to create $5 trillion economy. Maharashtra BJP convenes meeting of its newly elected MLAs to elect leader of the legislative party. Union Minister Narendra Singh Tomar, BJP National Vice President Avinash Rai Khanna to be central observers. UK to hold general elections on 12th December amid a Brexit deadlock. British MPs poll 438 votes to 20 in favour of elections. Prime Minister Johnson says people must be given a say on the future of Brexit. Kolkata's Eden Gardens to host India's first ever day-night test match against Bangladesh on November 22nd. BCCI Chief Saurav Ganguly congratulates skipper Virat Kohli, Bangladesh Cricket Board, on the historic move. Our top focus this morning, Prime Minister Narendra Modi concluded his two-day-long visit to Saudi Arabia today. Before his departure, in a tweet, Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanked King Salman and Crown Prince for their hospitality and said he had productive interactions with the country's top leadership. During his packed schedule, Prime Minister delivered a keynote address at the high-profile Future Investment Initiative, where he reiterated India's aim of achieving $5 trillion economy. He invited countries present at the forum to invest in India and promised them proper infrastructural facilities in the country. He said India will invest $100 billion in oil and gas infrastructure to meet energy needs.
साथियों, आज इस मंच से मैं आपको विश्वास दिलाना चाहता हूं कि भारत में प्रगति की ये रफ्तार और तेज होगी। हम देश के विकास से जुड़ा हर फैसला ले रहे हैं। न हमारी नीतियों में भ्रम है और न ही हमारे लक्ष्य में संदेह है। हमारे $5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी के लक्ष्य का रोड मैप तैयार है। यह लक्ष्य सिर्फ क्वांटिटेटिव ग्रोथ का ही नहीं है, पर हर भारतीय की क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ बेहतर करने का भी है। हम ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस में ही नहीं, ईज ऑफ लिविंग में भी सुधार ला रहे हैं। पॉलिटिकल स्टेबिलिटी, प्रिडिक्टेबल पॉलिसी और बड़े डाइवर्स मार्केट के कारण भारत में आपका इन्वेस्टमेंट सबसे अधिक लाभदायक रहेगा। साथियों, आज जब भारत में हम विकास को गति देना चाहते हैं, तो हमें उभरते हुए ट्रेंड्स को अच्छी तरह समझना होगा। और इसलिए आज मैं आपसे ग्लोबल बिजनेसेस को प्रभावित करने वाले 5 बड़े ट्रेंड्स के बारे में बात करना चाहूंगा। पहला ट्रेंड है टेक्नोलॉजी और इनोवेशन का प्रभाव। दूसरा, ग्लोबल ग्रोथ के लिए इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की इंपॉर्टेंस। तीसरा, ह्यूमन रिसोर्स और फ्यूचर ऑफ वर्क में तेजी से हो रहा बदलाव। चौथा, कंपैशन फॉर एनवायरनमेंट। और पांचवा ट्रेंड है बिजनेस फ्रेंडली गवर्नेंस। भारत की तेज गति से बढ़ती इकोनॉमी के लिए ऊर्जा में निवेश बहुत जरूरी है और हम यहां मौजूद एनर्जी कंपनीज से इन अवसरों का लाभ उठाने का अनुरोध करते हैं। भारत में हम गैस और ऑयल के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में बड़ी मात्रा में निवेश बढ़ा रहे हैं। वर्ष 2024 तक हमारा रिफाइनिंग, पाइपलाइंस और गैस टर्मिनल्स में $100 बिलियन तक के निवेश का लक्ष्य है। मुझे खुशी है कि सऊदी अरामको भारत में वेस्ट कोस्ट रिफाइनरी प्रोजेक्ट, जो एशिया की सबसे बड़ी रिफाइनरी होगी, उसमें निवेश करने का निर्णय लिया है।
And earlier, Prime Minister held wide-ranging talks with Saudi King Salman bin Abdulaziz and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, during which a strategic partnership council was established to coordinate on important issues. Both nations signed 12 agreements in all, including one to roll out RuPay card in the kingdom. Prime Minister, during his talks with Saudi King Salman bin Abdulaziz, exchanged views on working closely together to strengthen the bilateral ties. They also discussed cooperation in oil and gas, maritime security, renewable energy, trade and investment between the two countries. Both leaders also condemned terrorism in all its forms and manifestations and agreed to step up bilateral security cooperation.
Both leaders expressed their deep satisfaction at the excellent state of relations between India and Saudi Arabia, at the important decisions taken during the visit of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia to India, and expressed their happiness at the Strategic Partnership Council, which is being launched. Both leaders agreed that this high-level mechanism will strengthen partnership in all areas, including political, defense and security, culture and people-to-people contacts, trade and investments, etc.
And before his meeting with the Saudi king, top ministers of the Gulf nation called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi and discussed ways to further deepen bilateral ties in the areas of energy, labour, agriculture and water technologies. Prime Minister Modi held a discussion with Saudi Arabia's Environment, Water and Agriculture Minister towards exploring newer areas of cooperation in the agriculture, food processing and water technologies. The Saudi Energy Minister also had a productive meeting with the Prime Minister, and the two leaders talked about efforts to improve energy cooperation between the two countries. Minister of Labour and Social Development also called on the Prime Minister and had a discussion. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also met King Abdullah II of Jordan in Riyadh. The two leaders discussed a range of issues to strengthen the bilateral ties by enhancing cooperation in several areas, including trade and investment and counter-terrorism. And for more inputs on this, we will go across to our correspondent, Akhilesh Suman, who is joining us over the phone line. Akhilesh, a very good morning. Prime Minister Narendra Modi just concluded his two-day-long visit to Saudi Arabia. What were the big takeaways from Prime Minister's visit to Saudi Arabia?
You know, there are 12 big takeaways. You can say that 12 agreements that has been signed between India and Saudi Arabia. That is really very big. And when you talk about Saudi Arabia, you are addressing the whole Muslim world, because Saudi Arabia has been one of the major countries in Muslim world that has been not only guiding but also helping Muslim world economically. And where if world's largest democracies Prime Minister is going and talking and signing agreements of I think most importance, that means that you are giving a message to the whole Muslim world that yes, India and Saudi Arabia has agreed to shun and oppose terrorism in all its forms and manifestations that is plaguing the whole world. And that is the message that is being given from Riyadh. Another thing I can tell you that Saudi Arabia has agreed to invest heavily in India's infrastructure and also in energy infrastructure. And that is giving a boost to our energy needs for the future. And this strategic partnership council and then this strategic petroleum reserve, these are the two things that is going to give India unprecedented importance in the whole Muslim world and also our energy security. So I think these two are also very big, takeaway as far as India is concerned. The third thing I can tell you that Prime Minister Narendra Modi from Saudi's capital gave another message to the whole world, and that was about the world that is being governed, the way it is being governed, then the way it is being coordinated is not right. And this is the first time that Prime Minister questioned the efficacy of United Nations. Prime Minister told that United Nations has virtually failed in stopping conflicts among nations and also conflict inside nations. And you know that Middle East has been inflamed for 2 decades, and United Nations could not do it. So Prime Minister has given a message that United Nations needs to rethink that it needs to be reorganized, and the way it should be reorganized, that should be representing the reality of this world. So I think Prime Minister takeaway was on 2 fronts. One was on global front, and another was India's security needs front.
Right. So global front and the India's security needs were the 2 important areas which were focused on in Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Saudi Arabia, and also the Strategic Partnership Council has been established between India and Saudi Arabia, and both the nations have also signed 12 agreements, which also include RuPay card in the kingdom, and also security, maritime, renewable energy, trade and investment were among the key areas which were also discussed between the 2 sides. Moving on, MV Rajiv Gandhi has been included in Vice Chairman panel of the Rajya Sabha, effective from 28th of October. Satyanarayan Jatia, Tiruchi Shiva, T.K. Rangarajan, Sukhendu Shekhar Roy and Kehkashan Parveen are already part of the panel. Last year, Vice President appointed JDU MP Kehkashan Parveen on the panel of presiding officers for conducting proceedings of the House. She became the first woman on the panel in the recent times. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Science and Technology, Environment and Forest will now be known as Committee on Science and Technology, Environment, Forest and Climate Change. The committee falls under Rajya Sabha and covers ministries of Science and Technology, Space, Earth Sciences, Nuclear Energy, Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Changes have also been made to the standing committees under the Lok Sabha by the Speaker in consultation with the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Standing Committee on Agriculture will now also cover fisheries, animal husbandry and dairy. Earlier, it was for agriculture and farmers' welfare and food processing ministries only. The Standing Committee on Water Resources will now cover the Jal Shakti Ministry. Earlier, it was for the Ministry of Water Resources, River Development and Ganga Rejuvenation. The Committee on Rural Development will now cover rural development and Panchayati Raj. Earlier, it also covered drinking water and sanitation. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Petroleum and Natural Gas has selected 15 subjects for investigation in 2019-20. The committee has selected the allocation of retail outlets and LPG distributorships, pricing and marketing of petroleum products, including natural gas, the subject of litigation related to oil PSUs. The committee, headed by Ramesh Biduri, comprises senior MPs from Rajya Sabha, including Om Prakash Mathur, Ahmed Patel, Narayan Lal Pancharia, A. Vijay Kumar, and Kanak Medla Ravindra Kumar. Some of the issues selected by the committee include contract management and transparency in procurement procedures in oil PSUs, energy security with specific reference to hydrocarbon resources and electric vehicles, CSR activities of oil PSUs, national gas grid, international cooperation in petroleum sector, review of progress in production of biofuels, and review of LNG infrastructure. And the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Coal and Steel has selected 30 important subjects for investigation during 2019 and 20. The committee has selected 15 subjects specifically related to the Ministry of Coal for in-depth review. This committee, headed by Lok Sabha MP Rakesh Singh, will also examine several important subjects of the Ministry of Mining and Steel. The subjects related to the Ministry of Coal include safety in coal mines, production of lignite, projection and planning, skill development in coal sector, performance of Coal Controller's Office, implementation of information technology and vigilance activities to curb illegal coal mining and theft of coal in the country, compliance of environmental norms by coal or lignite companies, import of coal, trends and issue of self-reliance, coal handling infrastructure at ports. The committee has also selected 9 important topics related to the Steel Ministry for investigation. And with that, we will slip into a very quick break. More news and updates on the other side. Stay with us.
What are some key legislations introduced in Rajya Sabha? Some of the key legislations introduced in Rajya Sabha are the Hindu Marriage and Divorce Bill 1952, the Hindu Succession Bill 1954, the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Bill 1969.
Welcome back after the break and getting you some more national updates. Terrorists shot dead 5 non-local laborers in Kulgam district of Kashmir on Tuesday evening. This was informed by the police. One person was hospitalized with serious injuries. The attack took place on a day when European Union MPs are touring Kashmir to understand the ground reality after the abrogation of special status under Article 370 for the state. Since the centre's decision on Article 370, terrorists have been targeting truckers and labourers, mainly who have come to the valley from outside Kashmir. Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports Kiran Rijiju inaugurated the world-class hockey turf in Chennai on Tuesday. During the event, Sports Minister said CBSE was preparing a system to ensure sports becomes a substantial part of education to determine the achievements of a student. Rijiju said the move to induct sports in the new education system was because it has been treated as an extracurricular activity.
I'm in touch with the education department. I'm in touch with HRD. I have already attended the CAP meeting, the Central Education Advisory Committee, and I have already spoken there. Now it is under preparation. Now from next academic session, we'll try to implement it.
And Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu on Tuesday delivered the first Arunjaitley Memorial Lecture on strengthening of parliamentary institutions in the country at Delhi University. Addressing the gathering, Naidu unveiled a 16-point reform charter for effective functioning of the parliament and state legislatures.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has suggested a 16-point reform agenda for strengthening parliamentary institutions. Delivering the first Arunjaitley Memorial Lecture at Delhi University on Tuesday, the Vice President urged political parties to ensure attendance of at least 50% of their legislators throughout the proceedings of the houses by adopting a roster system.
Lawmakers should abide by the rules of the House and political parties to take their responsibility in this regard by evolving and enforcing a code of conduct. Making rules that automatically take effect against earning members in the case of interruptions and disruptions. Political parties to evolve a roster system for ensuring attendance of at least 50% of their members in the legislature all through the proceedings of the House every day to address the issue of lack of quorum.
The Vice President further said that the parliamentary system can be strengthened only if its roots, the democratic values, are strong. He called for a new political consciousness, urging all stakeholders to review their mindset with regard to their roles and responsibilities, saying there is scope for substantial improvement in the functioning of parliamentary institutions.
Parliamentary system lie in the democratic ideal and they have to be fostered outside the confines of Parliament and among the masses of the people. Unless the roots are vitalized from time to time and made to acquire self-developing potentialities, the branches of the system represented by the Parliament and the state legislature cannot draw the necessary sustenance.
Lauding the contributions of late Arunjaitley, Naidu described him as a multitasker and multifaceted genius. Naidu said that Jaitley made a unique contribution in addressing the imbalance in the prevailing dominant political thinking in the country.
Sri Arunjaitley was a multitasker and a multifaceted genius who made him rise to DG heights in a quick time. He left an indelible mark of his own on a wide range of issues concerning our nation's public life, which includes articulation of a new ideological perspectives on major national issues with clarity of thought and force of articulation.
Arunjaitley, who died in August this year, was an alumnus of Delhi University. His wife and 2 children also attended the lecture. Mohammad Fateh Tipu's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's talk about news related to environment and climate change. High Mountain Summit is being held from October 29th to 31st at the World Meteorological Organization's headquarters in Geneva. More than 150 institutions and stakeholders are participating in the conference. The summit seeks better cooperation between governments, researchers and space agencies to fight the effects of climate change globally. Mountain-sourced water supplies provide about half of all drinking water worldwide. Rising temperatures melt glaciers and change precipitation patterns and river levels, affecting the availability of fresh water. To cope with the effects of climate change on water systems, dams have to be redesigned and irrigation systems need to be overhauled. The summit is expected to create the integrated high mountain observation and prediction project, which intends to help deal with hazards through early warning systems. The UK is set to go to the polls on 12th of December amid a Brexit deadlock as the British Prime Minister's election plan clears the House of Commons. This after British MPs backed Boris Johnson's call for an election by a massive margin of 438 votes to 20. Johnson said the public must be given a choice over the future of the Brexit and the country. Parliament will dissolve next week and the parties will go into overdrive on their 5-week campaigns. It will mark the first December poll since 1923, once the House of Lords passes the legislation and it becomes law by the end of the week. Sports news now. Shiva Thapa has reached semi-finals of the Olympic test event in Tokyo on Tuesday. 4-time Asian medalist Shiva Thapa secured himself a medal at the Olympic test event for boxing in Tokyo by winning his quarter-final bout on Tuesday. 6 other Indians made to the last 4 stage without even stepping inside the ring. Thapa overpowered local favourite Yuki Hirakawa in a 5-0 verdict to fight his way into the medal rounds. Thapa will be up against another Japanese, Daisuke Narimatsu in the semi-finals on Wednesday. Narimatsu got a bye in the opening round. And Kolkata's iconic Eden Gardens will host India's first ever day-night test match. The match will be played against Bangladesh beginning from November 22nd. BCCI chief Sourav Ganguly had sent a proposal on the day-night test to the Bangladesh Cricket Board last week, soon after obtaining a go-ahead from Team India skipper Virat Kohli. Bangladesh will play 2 tests during their upcoming tour of India, apart from 3 T20 internationals. The first test at Indore will be played from November 14th. The daily timings of the play in the Eden Test are likely to be from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. with a 20-minute tea break after the first session and a 40-minute supper break ahead of the final session. And that's all we have for you in this edition of Breakfast News. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.